Hey everyone, welcome to Root System. I'm Alissa Fleet. This is a space where we'll be talking about how to reconnect with our culture and how to reconnect with our ancestry in such a way that can truly support us, that can truly help us to meet the challenges of today. We know there are incredible treasures in our lineages, and in this space we'll explore how to uncover them, even when the path back feels unclear, even if we're not sure where to begin. I'll also be sharing the vision behind Root System, why I'm doing this, and why now. So in this pilot episode, we're starting at the root and exploring why disconnection is so incredibly prevalent in the United States and what we can do about it. This is a question and a whole area of research that I've been focusing on for many years. What happens when you have so many people, a whole society with so much personal disconnection, who are carrying around so many historic wounds that have gone unaddressed? This is something really affecting entire generations. The good news is that on an individual level, it's very much possible to heal from these broken lineages. I see it all the time in my own work with clients when I sit with them to make sense of fragmented stories and heal from the difficult things that may have happened in their own life. Things that once felt larger than life or felt impossible to resolve. But amazingly, there is a way. When you step back and start looking from a wider point of view, you can see all the larger forces at play. I love doing this work because it's incredibly hopeful, and I get to experience what reconciliation is like on a daily basis. Working one person at a time, while it's incredibly worthwhile, it does take time. And the issues we have in our country resulting from the disconnection are really boiling over. So I wanted to share some of the big lessons that I see from doing this work and from being in touch with so many people who've been on this journey of healing from intergenerational trauma and from historic harms. I've seen that there's this thing that happens with my friends, with my colleagues who train in internal family systems, in family constellations, in different collective healing approaches. And yeah, there's this fascinating thing that happens quite naturally. It's not like in the curriculum, it's not in the instruction that you receive upon graduation, but more of a kind of logical conclusion that many people come to in this work. And it shows up in what their daily life looks like now. And that is, they ultimately find themselves in a new relationship with their own roots, with the cultures their people came from, with the lands their people came from, with the incredible nature around them today. And they've been able to reconcile and reconnect in a way that is joyful, in a way that is celebratory. It's like a true homecoming. It doesn't have that ache or sting anymore that it once had. It doesn't have this feeling of, what am I even doing here? And should I leave? Or would I maybe feel more at home if I went somewhere else? And there's another thing that I've learned, which is that you don't have to take a very long road to get there. You can actually begin reconnecting with your roots right away. You can find what looks like a very small fragment, and it can start to become a kind of support that is very personal, that is very yours, that is very true for who you are today. Disconnection from land, from place, from people, I would say, is part of the American experience, especially for those who at some point have family who emigrated to this place, whether that was very recently or hundreds of years ago. Just to speak from my own experience as a person of Western European ancestry, we had a few stories from the past in my family, and we cherished them like jewels. But I felt that the depth of my culture had been watered down. This may be the reason I was so incredibly fascinated with traveling, with language, and with learning from other cultures. My own cultural wisdom and practices and the stories that sustained the people in my lineage for centuries, most of these had been forgotten or had become diluted, flattened into this kind of monotone, standardized identity. It had been reduced to what kind of car you drive or what you do for a living. And while that may look good on paper, it lacked depth and texture. And then there would be like this voice within that knows there is something more, was dissatisfied. The journey to recover one's roots is not a straight line. There are moments of doubt. Who am I to reclaim these traditions? Am I just romanticizing the past? Even as I approach my own lost traditions, it can be awkward. Is this cultural appropriation? But eventually, for me, something did begin to settle. I did start to experience a sense of belonging that I hadn't known before. Not just like belonging to a clique, but belonging to place with a capital P, belonging to time, belonging to the earth, and to these cycles that are larger than just me. So this is some of what has gone into developing what I now call roots recovery, a process of intentionally reconnecting with cultural heritage and ancestral wisdom in ways that are meaningful and relevant for modern life. Roots recovery is not about some kind of perfect historical reenactment. It's not about living in the past. It's about finding those threads of wisdom, those practices that can ground us in the craziness of this world. It's about asking, what is this more core knowledge that's stabilizing, that will really help for what's going on today? And this work operates on multiple levels. First, there's a personal level, the individual journey I was just talking about of discovering and embodying cultural practices and stories and ways of being that resonate with your specific situation. Then there's the relational level of how reconnecting with your roots changes your relationship with family, with community, and with those who come from different cultural backgrounds. And finally, there's the larger societal level, how this work contributes to healing larger cultural wounds, addressing historic harms, and creating more life-sustaining ways of being in the world. I want to be clear that this work is not about cultural purity or shutting people out. It's not about saying, this is mine and not yours. Rather, it's about reclaiming the particular way of knowing that is within you so that you can bring it as a gift to your community, to the people around you, to the larger human family. And while yes, my own journey has been about tracing back from New England across the ocean to Western European traditions, the framework of roots recovery can be adapted for any cultural background. I'm really not here to be an expert in any one tradition, but here to offer a process, a map, and to bring you voices of other people that I know who are doing this work from really fascinating and different perspectives. One of the beautiful aspects of this work is how it helps us to build bridges of honoring and respect. So why am I doing this? So we're experiencing what some have called a crisis of belonging, where traditional communities have been fragmented. You could say the village has broken, and digital connection often replaces physical presence. I myself would much prefer to be talking with you around a kitchen table or a campfire, and perhaps we will at some point, but here we are. The data is clear. Loneliness and disconnection have become an epidemic. When we lose connection to our cultural roots, we lose access to wisdom that evolved over thousands of years. wisdom about how to live in right relationship with the earth, how to mark important life transitions. We lose wisdom about how to grieve, how to celebrate, how to resolve conflict, and how to raise children in community. Without these cultural technologies, we're left to reinvent the wheel in each generation as if starting from zero, making the same mistakes that our people actually learned from long ago. So, how do we start reconnecting? Here are some of the core practices that form the foundation of roots recovery. The first is what I call cultural mapping. This is a process of sketching out what you already know about your lineage while identifying gaps and disconnections. This becomes your personal roadmap for research and exploration, and it definitely works even if you think that you know nothing. Then there are ancestral memory practices. These are embodied somatic exercises that tap into what the body remembers, even when the mind has forgotten. These are particularly powerful for accessing cultural knowledge that may have been lost through migration, assimilation, or trauma. Next are the daily connection rituals. These are small, doable practices that weave ancestral wisdom into your everyday life, from how you prepare food to how you mark the changing of the seasons. And finally, there's the practice of circle technology. This is an approach to community dialogue where we gather in a circle with the understanding that each person present is carrying important wisdom that the entire circle needs to hear. Again, while it is much more fun to do this in person, we will be taking the circle technology approach on this podcast as if we were sitting in a circle of equality and create a space where cultural stories and different approaches can emerge organically and be held collectively. What makes these practices unique is that they work even when there are gaps in your knowledge or breaks in cultural transmission. They honor both the wisdom of the past and the realities of the present. And very importantly, these are designed to be ethical and respectful. They help you to navigate the kind of complex questions that come up, like, how do I actually reclaim practices if they're from a heritage that also includes histories of harm, of violence, of taking? How do I honor traditions without appropriating from others? And how do I adapt traditional practices for very modern contemporary life? Through this podcast, my intention is to cultivate a community of practice, a circle where we can begin exploring these questions together. Each episode will offer a blend of practical tools, inspiring stories, and thoughtful conversation. In some episodes, I'll be sharing specific practices and insights from my own journey. In others, I'll bring you into conversation with guests who are navigating their own paths of cultural reconnection, including scholars working in traditional knowledge and everyday people exploring their roots for the first time. My vision is that this become a gathering place for those seeking to remember, to recover, and reconnect. I really believe that when we reclaim our roots, we don't just heal ourselves, we contribute to healing the larger systems we are part of. Each person who recovers their particular cultural wisdom brings a unique medicine that our world very much needs right now. I invite you to keep going on this path with me. Please subscribe to this podcast to hear when new episodes come out. And if you are interested in taking a next step, you can visit the Root System website to download the free Cultural Reconnection Starter Kit. It's there to help you start getting a lay of the land and mapping your own reconnection journey. So if you're listening to this and feeling that quiet pull towards something deeper, something more, know that you are definitely not the only one. Reconnecting with your roots is not a straight line, but the path is most definitely there for you. And the stories that you come from are still very much alive. So thank you for being here, and see you next time.